If you're someone who's ever tried to memorize all 7 modes on the guitar neck, allow me to change your life forever. This is a strategy that I discovered over 10 years ago, and still to this day, I have never seen this on YouTube. And this strategy will completely change how you think about modes, and hopefully I've caught you in time to save you years of frustration. So traditionally, when you're taught the 7 different modes, you are typically shown these 7 shapes. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that trying to memorize this is easy. As a matter of fact, it feels like a nightmare, and that's one of the main reasons why so many players give up and never actually learn the modes. And so I sat down one day 10 years ago and thought to myself, there's gotta be a better way. And then finally, I discovered this. Rather than trying to memorize 7 very long, complex patterns, what if I could just memorize 3 patterns? And what if I told you these 3 patterns are only 3 notes long? And yes, I'm telling you the truth. If you're looking at this and this feels like it's way too easy or too good to be true, for the first time in your life, it's actually not too good to be true. So let's get into how this actually works. So first, we're gonna name these patterns to make it even easier. We're gonna have pattern A, pattern B, and pattern C. And I want you to think of these patterns as fret positions. Pattern A would be 1, 3, and 5. Pattern B would be 1, 2, 4. And pattern C would be 1, 3, 4. If you can memorize those 3 patterns in that order, you were already 70% of the way of learning every single mode. So what happens if we take each of these patterns and then double them? So we have AA, BB, then CC. Well, you might have noticed that if we line these up properly on the fretboard, we'll actually get the Ionian mode, or the major scale. Now, I want you to imagine that we have a 7th string above the E string, where we're going to place pattern A one more time. This pattern right here, which is AA, BB, CC, A, allows you to memorize every single mode. And if you're wondering how, well, let me explain. If you take this pattern and stack it on top of itself, you'll notice that you can create a conveyor belt of notes that goes forever. Now, this right here is what blew my mind. If you continue playing up the scale from that 7th group of notes, you will notice that you actually get the Dorian mode. The only catch is that you have to account for the B string shifting up the notes by 1 fret. But the crazy thing is that the pattern stays consistent, and if we do the same thing on the 7th group of notes again, we get the Phrygian mode. And if we do it on the 7th group of notes again, we get the Lydian mode, and so on and so forth, and it actually never changes. And so now when you think about the modes, you don't have to worry about some complex, unique pattern, but rather, which group are you starting on? And it goes even deeper than that. For example, if you're playing the Mixolydian mode, all you're doing is taking that 7th grouping and putting it back to the start. So if you played the original 7th grouping from the Ionian mode and put that to the beginning, you now have the Mixolydian mode, which would give you this pattern, AAA, BB, C, and that is the Mixolydian mode. And since the pattern repeats forever, every single mode is just a variation of the previous modes. So if you know the original order, you can absolutely figure out every single mode. So just like how the Mixolydian is the Ionian mode, but with the 7th grouping at the beginning, the Aeolian mode is the exact same as the Dorian mode, but with the 7th grouping of that at the beginning. Same thing goes for the Locrian mode and the Phrygian mode. And it's truly unbelievable how consistent this actually is. There are actually laws in place. For example, you'll never have group A followed by group C, and you'll never have group B followed by group A. It always goes in order. A, B, C, repeat. A, B, C, repeat. The only pattern that gets played 3 times in a row is group A. The other 2 only get played twice. So you have 3 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's, and that is it. It goes like that forever. And I fully understand that I'm kind of hammering away at the same point over and over, but if this is something that has taken you years, and I mean literal years, to try and figure out and memorize, hopefully this just changed your life. And so I want to give you one exercise that you can use to train your ears so you know where you are in the scale, and then you can start to build upwards from there. Because trust me, it's an amazing feeling to be able to hear a particular chord tone and then know where you are in the sequence and then build the mode organically. And this is what every guitarist actually wants. They want to be able to unlock the fretboard. And to my knowledge, this is the best way to do it. So what you're gonna do for this exercise is I want you to play an A note on your E string, which is going to be the 5th fret. And you either wanna record this note so you can listen to it over and over, or if you have a loop pedal, or if you wanna go on YouTube, or whatever you want, so you just have a A droning note, just an A note forever. And then from there, I want you to play the A major scale on just the E string and really listen to the scale tone that you were on. And let's say, for example, you play up to the 9th fret, which is gonna be a C sharp, or the third of the scale. And if you remember the order of the patterns, this is going to give you the Phrygian mode, which is going to be B, 2 C's, and 3 A's. And you can use this strategy to figure out every single mode and every single position. Feel free to use this video for reference in the future so you can really get a strong grasp of how the modes work. And I'm also gonna leave some visuals in the description so you can see it as well. Ultimately, the idea behind this lesson is for you to understand what it sounds like and what it really feels like to be inside the modes, if that makes sense. Rather than having to start on the low E string every single time and then hope that you've memorized the proper pattern to just give you the Locrian mode or the Aeolian mode or whatever mode you're looking for. If you can actually hear it and you know what the pattern is and how consistent it actually is, you'll be surprised and amazed at how simple the modes can actually be. Hopefully this was an eye-opener for you, and I really do appreciate your time and checking out this video. And let me know in the comments if this worked for you. And once again, thanks for watching.